Good morning. Today I am in possibly the greatest Japanese import you can get in 2024, in 2023, in 2022. I don't care. Any year, this is the greatest Japanese import you can buy. And that would be the 1995 or first generation C23 Nissan Serena. So let's get some general specs on the C23 Nissan Serena. All right, I want you to close your eyes for a second and just imagine this, right? You got SR20, mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, right-hand drive, and it seats 8 people, and you get the Nissan Serena. So this is the quirkiest little van you could probably find. So like I said, let's go over some specs. It has a 2.0 inline-4, aka the SR20DE, a very reliable engine when stock and when non-turbo, and also when non-abused. It is a great engine. There's lots of parts for them, lots of information on them. They get decent gas mileage. This van gets about 20 to 22 miles per gallon combined from what I've experienced. These are not numbers from the internet. These are from my personal experiences in owning the van. Like I said, it is rear-wheel drive. It has some pretty narrow wheels. It has an open differential, leaf springs in the back, so don't expect to be doing any sliding in this. However, I've heard tales of people drifting Nissan Serenas. I haven't looked up, done my research on the videos, but I've heard of it in passing in my other videos. People have mentioned it, but as far as I know, I haven't seen it done. I don't really believe it so much. Maybe if it was the manual version and if it had a limited slip diff. So let me give you my first impressions on the interior of the Nissan Serena. Firstly, it's a 90s Nissan car. Everything is kind of cheap. So the door cards, they're very bendable, very movable. The steering wheel is like an okay leatherish, rubbery kind of feel. It's not sticky, thankfully. It's like a nice smooth. Everything is like relatively a lot of plastic. It's a very plasticky interior. Everything kind of has a crunchy, wobbly feel to it. Nothing really feels too sturdy. The build quality, if you will call it, is not that luxe, but it's held up. So I mean, that's got to say something, right? I mean, the dash isn't cracked. There's no fading on any of the panels, really. Nothing is sticky. There's no weird residues like forming from it. So yeah, not a fantastic, amazing, comfortable interior, but I will say the seats are very comfortable. You can easily drive 8+ hours in this van. So speaking of the seats, all of them are cloth, which I love. And they're like a non-perforated cloth, which sounds weird in practice, but in reality, it makes it quite comfortable. You don't get like those weird imprints on your legs or your back or anything. They're just very comfortable seats, very wide. They have a lot of adjustability. They fold all the way back, they fold all the way forward, they move forward and back like they should. And speaking of the seats, did I mention there's 8 of them? Yes, there's 2 in the front, 3 in the middle row, and 3 in the back row, for a total of 8 people to fit inside of this little SR20 van. So other than just the general interior, you have some quirky things going on, like a little coin holder down here. You have a parking pole button for the parking pole on the passenger side, so you can tell where the end of the vehicle is. The sun visors are a very cheap foam with like a little overlay on it. There's no mirror on the driver's side, but there is a mirror on the passenger side. You do have some nice little handles right here so you can get in and out easier. Now, speaking of the handles, that actually does help you get in because I haven't mentioned it, but this vehicle does sit very high. There's like almost a little step to get in, like it's a coach van. It's pretty nice because I find that it sucks kind of being on US roads with all these big giant trucks. If you're in a lowered car or if you're in a car that seats low, you feel kind of unseen by the rest of traffic, but this one sits right at the same level as other SUVs and crossovers, small SUVs, like that kind of thing. What I want to do now is I'm going to put on the POV camera and we're going to go for a little tour of this vehicle because I want to show you all of its little quirks and features, shout out my man Doug, in this vehicle, because you really have to see everything this car has to offer before you can kind of write it off. So bear with me. Let's go to that POV camera. All right, so here we are in the front seat of the Nissan Serena. Like I was talking about before, very simple layout. You can kind of see it a little bit more first personally. Here's that coin thing. You got your power mirrors, your locks, your windows. Another cool thing is that it actually doesn't have a back door on the driver's side, which is why it's just replaced by the lock button. There's only 3 doors, driver's side, passenger side, and the back seat. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about with these quirks. So let's start off with where the engine is located. That's right here. I said it was mid-engine, so let me show you under the hood real quick. So under here we have the spare tire, battery, washer fluid, brake master. So you might be asking, how do I access the engine if it's right here? Well, it's actually quite simple, but it is a little bit tedious. The first thing you have to do is come over and take this screw out right here. I then just plop it in here until I'm done. And then you just pull the whole thing forward, up, and forward. And you put this out of your way. So from here now, we have a couple of buckles to do, and then we can flip the seat up and find the engine. So the first one we do is here. And the other two, this is the same for both seats, is right here. And right here. Now the seat just flips up, and that's where our engine is. It actually does have like a little bit of a hood prop right here as well that you can take down and put into this slot, but I never really find that I need it. So yeah, there is the SR20. Contrary to popular belief, this is not easy to work on. I've had to replace a couple of belts so far, and it was very annoying to try and get my hands in there from directly underneath the vehicle. But you can check your oil right here, and your intake air filter is also very conveniently located right here. So yeah, engine is right underneath the seats. It doesn't get hot at all. A lot of people ask that question, but there's a lot of heat resistance material here, and the seats don't really get hot, which is really nice in the summer. All right, so the quirkiness doesn't just end there. Now, like I said, it does have 8 seats. Here's a more of a first-person view of it. You got 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and I guess they expect somebody to sit in between those 2 seats. I mean, it's pretty wide, so I could see it. Every seat in this car folds, flips, twists, that kind of thing. It's very customizable, the layout you get. So let's start with this jump seat, if you will. This has a little knob here. You can pull, and it either goes completely flat. Every seat goes completely flat. Or you can fold it up, and that's not all. There's a little lever right here. You pull the lever, and it goes up. Now that makes it easier for you to get into the back seat. Usually people just keep this one up from what I've found. The next cool thing is that these middle seats, they swivel. So if we crawl into the middle seats, this middle row, there's a lever right here that allows you to tilt back and forth. Like I said, everything folds flat. And then there's gonna be 2 levers by the feet. There's one right here that says up, and there's one over here that says nothing. That can be a little bit hard to find, but it's right here. So you're gonna pull the one on the right all the way forward until it clicks. And then this one actually makes the seat rotate. So now we're sideways, and in every position, you can move the seat forward, back, and you can tilt it forward and back. It is very customizable. So here's a view on that. This is kind of nice if you're picking up a bunch of people, but this is usually where I keep it. I keep it on the side so I can see a little bit better, and I can also put stuff behind me very easily. We can actually move this again if we slide this forward, pull this up, and swivel it backwards. And it can also go back again, and it can tilt again. So this is cool if the people, like, if you're more of like a limousine vibe and you're picking up people and you want them, and they're gonna wanna talk to each other, they all wanna sit here, you could pull this one down and flatten it, and they could put like their belongings or whatever on here, or somebody could have like a leg rest. So the next cool thing about this interior is that those seats also move. Let me show you. There's a little lever. There's a small lever right here on both the seats. And then there's another lever right here on the floor. Pull that lever, seat goes up, this little latch right here. Same thing on this one. Pull that lever till it's flat. Pull this lever, push that down, all the way up. And now you have so much space in the back for all of your, like, anything. And it's super easy just to put everything back exactly as it was. So another cool thing about the back seat as I crawl back here is that it has its very own climate control up there. So it comes with this factory remote that sits exactly perfectly right in there. It's all in Japanese, I can't really read it, but you get the gist. There's 7 buttons and you just push it till you get to 18 degrees Celsius. Some storage back here, which is nice if you want to put some belongings or whatever. But yeah, very comfortable, very spacious. You can put your feet up, you can sleep in here, you can camp out. It's honestly a great vehicle for pretty much everything. But wait, there's more. These windows, only on the driver's side, they pop out, almost like an E36 if you've ever seen those, but you pretty much pull and push. Pull and push, and it locks in. And just for a little bit of extra ventilation, because they won't slide open. This one doesn't move at all. This is completely fixed, this window, and the window on the sliding door goes down about halfway, and that's about it. All right, so I guess that's enough showing you guys in and out of the vehicle. I know that's probably most of the video because the drive is not super exciting, but let's get driving in the 1995 Nissan Serena. All right, so off we go. So it is a really relatively slow vehicle. It doesn't have great 0 to 60, it doesn't have great acceleration. However, what really makes the Nissan Serena so much better than if you were searching for a K-van, you know, it's a little bit bigger than a K-van. It's just as, if not more quirky and unique than a K-van. However, it can do highway speeds, which a lot of these K vehicles simply can't do. They can go 50, 55, 60 miles an hour, and that leaves you really being a detriment to others on the highway if you can't really go highway speeds, or if that's like your top speed, that's never what you want. The Nissan Serena goes highway speeds easily as any other car on the road, and it's just as stable, it's just as comfortable, it's very smooth, the engine isn't crying, it is super well set up for US highways. I've taken this car to 90, 95 miles an hour, no problem. Some people claim that this car does handle pretty well due to the mid-engine factor. You know what, like coming from a background of race cars and so on, I don't really give into it, but I guess for a van, like, we're taking this turn, like, okay, but I don't really feel so confident in the tires. They're so thin, but you know what, there's not a whole lot of body roll, but it could always be better, of course. This is just a minivan, a very cheap minivan at that. The worst thing about the Nissan Serena that really happened to it is that, especially for this first generation, people hated this vehicle. They absolutely hated this minivan. They hated the fact that it was mid-engine. A lot of them came with a diesel motor, which apparently wasn't great from what I've heard. They were kind of unreliable. And I think that like people overseas just didn't want the SR20 or didn't get the SR20. These were very popular in places like Malaysia, Spain, India, and of course Japan had a few of them as well, I guess more than a few of them. They weren't really well received by the people due to kind of just the inconvenience of things. So its competition at the time was stuff like the Mazda Bravo, I think it's called, and the Mitsubishi Delica. So what really separates the Serena from, if you were to say import a Delica or a Bravo, is the fact that it has a common engine and other common parts that we can find on other US vehicles. The SR20 came in Sentras, so you can get belts and spark plugs and valve cover gaskets, all the engine stuff, intake, filters, everything, oil filters, oils, it's all here already. There's no need to import parts like if you were to get a Delica or a Bravo. I haven't done my research on them, but I just assume with pretty much any import that you're gonna have to import parts as well, and that can be an issue for regular maintenance. I think there's about a handful of these in the US. I could be wrong, but I haven't met another person with a Nissan Serena. Until recently, I met this guy, Mendy Imports, and he's importing one at the moment. It should be here very soon. I'll put his channel in the description, or his Instagram in the description if you want to check out Mendy Imports, or if you want to import a vehicle for yourself. He's the guy to go through if you're in the Northeast. So look, I'm easily doing 110 kilometers right now, which is about 60 miles an hour. I'm less than 3,000 RPM, and I can still accelerate to pass people. That's what's so great about this car, is that it's like a K-van, but it's way more practical. And you can still register them. There's no issue registering this vehicle. So who do I think the Nissan Serena is the perfect vehicle for? Well, I think it's perfect for somebody who's just getting into cars, or they're not really so much of a sports car driver, but they want a fun conversation piece, and they love Japanese vehicles, they want an import. I think that the Serena is like one of the perfect imports you could buy because it's so cheap to buy, It's so reliable. We still have parts here, so it's very practical. It has so many uses. Everybody adores this thing. Everywhere I go, people are asking me, like, what kind of car is that? You know, even if they're not car enthusiasts, people are obsessed with this van, and everybody loves it. It's like the main conversation piece. What I would compare it to, honestly, I think the most USDM car that's equivalent to this is like a Honda Element. I've had one of those, and I would say that's like almost the same amount of quirkiness as this, and the same practicality where the seats flip up. It has a bunch of weird features, but that's really what this van is perfect for. Is somebody who wants something quirky, wants something that's a conversation piece, and something that's practical and reliable that they can drive on the daily while having a very low entry price. So these are all the reasons why I think the Nissan Serena is the perfect JDM import. Would you buy one of these? I want to know in the comments if you would buy one, if you've ever heard of these before, if your buddy has one, if you've ever seen a video of them drifting. Really, I just want to know because I love this van and I hope you guys do too. I would absolutely buy one, seeing as I have, but let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really means the world to me. Everybody who subscribes, comments, likes, any interactions. It's my favorite thing ever to make these videos for you guys, and I can't wait to keep just making these reviews, and as well as other vlogs. I just started a Lexus drift car project, so check that out if you're into drifting or if you're into IS300s. Yeah, that's really it, guys. I appreciate you so much. If you subscribe, it means the world to me. And on that note, have a great day, guys. Peace.